This week I finished a science fiction short story collection where the final story is easily the best one in the entire book. And I also started a fantasy novel that's famous for taking its time before the story really gets going. And to be honest, I haven't read much this week, so I can keep this video fairly short and not waste anyone's time. First up, I finished The Glass Weaver's Tale and Other Stories by Guy Riddihough. This is a collection of science fiction short stories, and one thing I really appreciated about it is just how much variety there is. The story jumps between different science fiction ideas, time travel, multiverses, strange technologies, alternate realities, and each one tries something slightly different. Some of them are more concept driven, and others lean more into atmosphere or character. And what I noticed while reading is that the collection actually gets stronger the further you go in. The earlier stories are interesting, but they feel a bit like warm-ups. As you move deeper into the book, the ideas become more ambitious and the execution becomes more confident. And the final story, The Glass Weaver's Tale, is easily the highlight of the entire collection for me. That story has a completely different feel compared to some of the earlier ones. The world building is much richer, the setting feels very vivid, and there's a really strong atmosphere throughout the whole thing. It's one of those stories where you can almost feel the world around the characters while you're reading it. And honestly, I think that final story alone makes the whole collection worth picking up. Even if some of the earlier ones don't fully land for you, getting to that last story really pays off. And overall, if you enjoy science fiction short stories, especially ones that play around with big ideas like time travel or alternate realities, I think this is a collection that's definitely worth checking out. And after finishing that, I started The Dragonbone Chair by Ted Williams. This one is obviously a much bigger commitment. It's a large epic fantasy novel, and it's also known for having a pretty slow start. And I can definitely see why people say that. The pacing at the beginning is very slow. There's a lot of time spent establishing the setting, the castle and the daily life of the characters. And just letting you settle into the world before the larger story really starts moving. But for me personally, slow pacing doesn't automatically mean boring. Those are two very different things. A book can be slow while still being interesting. And so far, I would say that's the case here. Ted Williams clearly puts a lot of effort into building the world and letting you absorb the atmosphere of the place. The thing I'm still not fully convinced by is the main character. Simon, at least at this point in the story, feels a little bit blunt. He mostly seems to be observing the world around him rather than actively driving the story himself. And a lot of things happen around him and he reacts to them, but he doesn't really seem to have a strong personal goal yet. And that's probably the main reason some readers struggle with the beginning of this book. When your main character doesn't have a clear direction yet, it can make the story feel like it's wandering a bit. That said, I'm very curious to see where this goes. Epic fantasy series often start with a character who doesn't fully understand their role in the story yet, so I'm expecting that Simon's place in the larger narrative will become clearer as the book progresses. And because this book is quite long, I'm not expecting to finish it anytime soon. So realistically, next week's update will probably still be mostly about the Dragonbone Chair, as I keep working my way through it. And honestly, I don't mind that at all. Sometimes it's nice to slow down and really spend some time inside a big fantasy world instead of jumping quickly from book to book. So that's everything I read this week. If you've read the Dragonbone Chair as well, I'd actually be really curious to hear what you think about it, especially about the beginning of the book. Did the slow start work for you, or did it take a while before it really grabbed your attention? Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll hope to see you again in the next video. Bye.